sought after brand and recognition among the private sector.
I work abroad as an OFW, and I've seen the experience of how Filipino were treated that time. So I always thought of creating an event someday to really recognize Filipinos and also market Philippines.
Let's present Philippines in a positive light. And the goal is expand your business, start your business, move your business to Philippines, hire Filipinos. They're good people to work with, and you'll do well. That's the goal.
Way back when we were the poorer or sick country of Asia, and now if you take a look at, for example, the BPO industry, we're number one in the world. There's a lot of potential for the country, and if we are really going to see fruition that we are going to be one of the top economies by 2050, I think it is very important for us to really pool our resources together.
And we always believed from the beginning that this association was the right medium, the right structure, and the right outfit to really put the Philippine business community on top of the agenda for the Filipino people and also for the international community.
Well, it gives me a fantastic insight in terms of how broad the industries are and how many different types of successes that are contributing to the growth and inclusive growth of this nation.
We have to create a future where our next generation of talent and leaders is prepared for all of the new opportunities that will present themselves.
Asia CEO Forum is very unique because it is more than any other forum emphasizing that this is about nation building.
Economic growth is a very wide subject, and Asia CEO Forum always find the right angle with the right topic at the right time to talk about, and that's why there is such attraction to these events.
They connect people, but they also create a platform for transfer of best practices, best knowledge.
I believe in the vision of Richard and Rebecca. I think they have this vision to help make the Philippines a first world country in 2030.
And with our partnership together, I know that we're achieving a lot of things.
Thank you for what you're doing. We applaud your efforts. We're proud and happy to be your partners.
We encourage other companies to join in and be a sponsor, and I'm very, very sure that they'll find it worthwhile.
Welcome to the Asia ECOMM Forum 2021 online edition. Today's forum is about how companies are surviving pandemics and finding whole new revenue sources with dramatically reduced costs. Listen to industry experts and top-level speakers who will share not just insights, but also the latest technology, trends, and possibilities across the entire e-commerce spectrum. Watch this. Groceries, shopping, birthday cake, food. It's all online. Entrepreneurs and business owners have stepped up to adjust to our new normal. Industry after industry are finding vast new opportunity. Asia ECOMM Forum would like to thank our title sponsor, LBC Business Solutions. Major sponsors, Multisys, PLDT Enterprise, Licas. Please bow your heads for the invocation to be led by Ms. Carol Roa, Chief Advancement Officer of International Care Ministries.
Good morning. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we invite your holy presence to our event today. We dedicate this e-commerce forum to you. We ask you to please anoint the presentations and the words of our speakers. Allow their words to be a blessing to our leaders, business owners, and other members of the audience. Let these presentations increase knowledge, understanding, and wisdom of everyone here so that more jobs may be created, more products may be sold, and the quality of lives here and around the world may be improved for billions of people. We know that all good things come from you, our omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent God, who can do and create anything. We know that the inspiration for all technology, past, present, and future is from you. As we face your supreme, holy, and mighty presence now, we humble ourselves and ask for your forgiveness for all our sins. We believe and accept that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, who died for our sins, resurrected on the third day, and gave us the gift of eternal life. We entrust all today's proceedings to you. Please sustain the technology everyone is using in this seminar so that all may have an enjoyable, trouble-free, and uninterrupted program all throughout. May this e-commerce event bless and honor you, our beloved God. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Once again, this is the Asia ECOMM Forum 2021. Please welcome our host, Mr. Richard Mills.
Welcome to Asia ECOMM Forum 2021, and this event gets bigger and bigger each year, and especially now in the midst of this pandemic situation. We all know that this really is what has saved companies and differentiated winners from losers. So we want to get everybody online using e-commerce technologies and living the digital life. So really glad to have you. We have some just amazing speakers. I just can't, I can't take credit for all of it, but really amazing speakers, and we're so glad to have you with us. So Asia E-commerce Forum 2021 is started, and glad to have you with us. Okay, to start off the event, we're pleased to have Irene Licas, the head of corporate planning for LBC Express. And if you don't know, because you've lived under a log somewhere, LBC is by far the nation's largest courier organization. Cargo, money remittance services, and offices around the world. 10,000 or so people. So Yeah, really pleased to have Irene and glad to have them part of this event. So please welcome Irene Licas of LBC. Glad to have you, Irene.
So welcome everyone to the 2021 Asia CEO ECOMM Forum. This year's program is entitled Design the Right Move for Your Business. LBC Business Solutions is always happy to be part of this wonderful program. My name is Irene Licas and I'm the head of corporate planning for LBC. LBC has always supported all kinds of businesses, whether new or old, whatever the scale is, from micro to large enterprise, and regardless of industry. We always strive to move lives and communities. And today, we celebrate one of the important pillars of our community, the businesses that continuously move and embrace challenges even during this time of pandemic. Since the establishment of our LBC Business Solutions arm, we have been supporting our MSME, SME, and corporate accounts with services and solutions geared towards empowering them forward. And now more than ever, as LBC strives to help businesses expand, not just in the Philippines, but globally, and as we grow and further increase our presence both locally and abroad, we invite everyone to dream even bigger. And as we reach all corners of the world, let's move as one and together help grow our economy. Enjoy the rest of the program and happy day to you all.
All right, our next speaker is John Gonzales, the Vice President and Head of Enterprise Digital Solutions for PLDT Enterprise. And he has quite a job because he has to help a large traditional telco organization move themselves to become a real digital service provider. And I got to say, they're making a lot of good progress. So we're glad to have John working with us and them. John has 30 years of work in the ICT industry with major organizations and now with PLDT in this leadership role. So please welcome John Gonzales of PLDT Enterprise. So glad to have you, John.
Thank you, Richard, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of PLDT Enterprise, it is my pleasure to talk to you today about technology enabling the new normal. Many businesses were not prepared for the pandemic and had to rush the implementation of online initiatives just to keep operational. Unfortunately, some had to shut down operations completely and for many reasons. It took a pandemic to reshape our priorities. The way we think of our business has changed significantly. How to survive, sustain, and even acquire new customers creatively through digital channels has become increasingly important. Hence, customers adopted new ways of engagement and transformed the buying experience using high-tech but low-touch and sometimes contactless services. Scaling as demand grows and convenience becoming the norm. New ways of working has enabled employees to collaborate much further and tighter, even though they are working apart. Leading and learning remotely has become a necessity. Consumption behavior has also changed in tandem, and digital transformation is at the front and center of this social shift. Researching new innovations and creating differentiation and entering into partnerships and alliances to break from the traditional and usual business norms. The pandemic has demonstrated the importance of being digital ready. Building the necessary infrastructure to support a digitized world will be essential for any business or country to remain highly competitive. Speaking with various technology and business executives in the past few months, here are four major areas that executives are considering in terms of moving forward. The massive flight to online has clearly been manifested, and these exponential growth numbers we see in consumer adoption show how rapidly it reached scale in such a condensed period of time. In fact, the latest statistics from global data showed that the Philippine economic and e-commerce transactions will grow to roughly 1.4% of GDP from 1.1% a year ago. This translates to more than $5 billion in e-commerce value in 2021. Extending this to 2025, a Google study sees this figure ballooning to $12 billion. Clearly, this behavior is here to stay. The challenge now for many businesses is how to shift to an online operation or being largely brick and mortar to optimally bricks and clicks. Many of the larger retailers born in e-commerce successfully navigated this journey. Businesses who wish to attain the same level of success will need to create winning digital experiences using enabling technologies that can bring this to life. First, the digital experience has to be easy in an environment where customers will engage you through multiple digital channels. Secondly, the experience has to be immediate. Customers today expect end-to-end transactions quickly and conveniently. Third, the experience has to be always on. The brick and mortar concept of store hours, opening times, and closing times do not exist in the realms of bricks and clicks. For the online customer, there is only one paradigm of time, and that is my time. Lastly, the experience has to be secure, and it's all about trust and reputation. In the midst of the pandemic, working in physical offices has become one of the top challenges of businesses. While we have found ways to adapt, we are also now working in an environment where it is possible to work from anywhere. Due to health protocols and social distancing measures, companies had to be more flexible. Employing strictly work from home or to some extent hybrid work and office arrangements, remote and mobile-based collaborations have taken shape. Advances in tools, technology, and telecom have helped facilitate the ability to work and communicate from anywhere. More and more employers are now open to considering shifting to a digital workplace. Employers are now assessing how they can manage employee time and more efficiently and perform work more quickly. Reduction in commute not only reduces carbon emissions, but also allows employees to have more quality time that leads to a better work-life balance. Geographical barriers in hiring talent has also torn down, and businesses' productivity from all this are likely to increase. The pandemic has also accelerated the rise of subscription-based platforms. Platforms are pre-built set of IT resources made available to users and removes the complexity of building IT systems from scratch. An e-commerce application is an example of a platform, so are other digital engagement solutions like CRM or ERP applications. Platforms have also been built to serve cybersecurity, managed network, and cloud-based infrastructure. Platforms address many business challenges throughout the years through a subscription-based model. Customers can actually transition capital investments to initiatives that generates more revenues. It allows immediate access to technology that helps businesses rapidly adapt to the changing business conditions and trends. It is easier to provision, hence accelerates the deployment of services. Designed to be service level based, it is also compliant to global standards and best business practices, and reduces the risk related to business continuity and security. Lastly, there's a big push for managed services or outsourcing of IT resources. While the uncertainty of when the pandemic will end lingers, many business owners have toned down on expenses, preserving cash, and implementing hiring restrictions. This has given new challenges for executives to grow businesses through digital means. They are now resorting to outsourcing common and repeatable backroom operations and recalibrating current resources to more strategic core business functions. Outsourcing helps augment the need for talent and skills for organizations to grow. Provide available resources when needed, reduce costs in hiring, provisioning tools and other overhead, and allows companies to access domain knowledge and best business practices using industry standards whenever necessary. To summarize, reimagine, redefine, redesign the future of your business. Create winning digital experiences while working from anywhere, using future-proof subscription-based platforms, and partnering with managed services providers that can help accelerate the digital transformation that you need. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Trike Gutierrez, the CEO of Tier 1 Entertainment. And Trike is considered a pioneer in the esports industry, otherwise known as gaming. And any parent knows about this because their children play these things. And they might not know that this is probably the biggest opportunity or an underappreciated opportunity that businesses have. This industry, the online gaming industry, is larger than live sports, motion picture, movie industries combined. So it is huge and growing quickly. And the huge access you have to young people is remarkable and really underappreciated. So we're so pleased to have Trike with us. Like I said, he's considered certainly a leader in the industry and really an important force for e-gaming in the Philippines. And we really want to see Philippines take leadership role in this. I like Koreans, but I'm sick of seeing Koreans. I want to see some Filipinos really do this because we really have the youthful people that can really drive this industry. So please welcome Trike Gutierrez, the CEO of Tier 1 Entertainment. So glad to have you, Trike.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Hi, hello everyone. I'm Trike Gutierrez, the CEO of Tier 1. Just to share with you my story, I started out as a frustrated pro player, wanting to become something in this gaming world. But back then, that was around 2008. Players like me never had the support, like we never had salaries, we never had like the boot camp or anything related to any support. And even on the society level, like people didn't agree to what we were doing. So it's like not even starting from scratch. It's really like starting from negative. So I started all this back in 2010 and we've come so far from where we started. And that's something that I wanted to share with you today. We've already accomplished a lot of dreams, paved way for me to be able to, get the attention that I needed in order to put my message through in the community, in the mainstream. So outside of that, Tier 1 has really become a source of opportunities for multiple Filipinos, especially gamers. And that's something that I wanted to share with you today. But before anything else, right, I wanted to make sure that this is clear. A lot of people, whenever I go into meetings, still mention e-games or affiliate what we're doing with e-games. And that's something that's different. Esports is the competitive play of video games. And this was clearly defined before as e-sports, not e-sports, not big S esports, So that's something I wanted to clear before I start. So to share with you some of the things that are happening in our scene, the esports prize pools in the world are really the biggest, even compared to sports. So you have the Battle Royale Fortnite with $64.4 million. Dota 2 has $46.7 million. And CSGO and PUBG also have big prize pools. So the money to have, the money that was brought in esports for the past years for Dota 2 is $222 million. So that just goes to show how much money is really pouring into the scene when it comes to the players in the competitive space. For CSGO, it's $93 million. And for Fortnite, it's $84 million. So the reason why I'm sharing you all this is not to, tell you that there is money to be made in the front end or the talent space or the player space, but also I want to share with you the money that's really flowing into the ecosystem of esports and gaming. So basically, the truth is only 495 million out of the 2.7 billion gamers around the world are watching esports. But from 2018 to 2023, we've really experienced a massive growth in viewership when it comes to people watching competitive video games. And a lot of people still say, you know, why are people watching video games? Like, what's going on with that? And I've seen that with multiple mainstream medias asking that question. And my answer to that is, why are people watching basketball? Why are people watching the NBA? I mean, it's technically the same thing. Like, being able to understand and enjoy people watching the game that you love on the highest level is something that people will appreciate. And this has become kind of like a live entertainment for a lot of Gen Zs and millennials that a lot of people still don't understand up to today. But this is happening. And for us, like, you have to accept it and you have to embrace this new generation of entertainment. And something that also I want to say is that we're in the right market. 54% of gamers are in Asia. I mean, China, right? So that's fair. That is a big part of the whole demographic of esports and gaming. But at the same time, Southeast Asia is really a budding industry for gaming and esports, not just because of our population, but because of mobile gaming. And here are the numbers. 49% of all of the gamers in the world are already mobile gamers. Only 23% are PC gamers and 28% are console gamers, your PlayStations, your Xbox. And the reason why is because it's easier to have an access to mobile platforms compared to PCs. I mean, not just in terms of like cost, but also because of connectivity, right? Like, you wouldn't be able to play games while lying down if you're on a PC. You wouldn't be able to play games on a beach or maybe while waiting for your food. But here in mobile games, the accessibility is just so much different. And because of that, gaming has grown exponentially because it's already accessing a different demographic from what it was trying to access before. And in terms of the pandemic, I mean, this is happening, this is present, and this is a reality. 83% of people are now playing more games. 29% are consuming esports content more. And a lot of sports fans, because for a while, you know, sports has stopped for a while, and 18% of them have really converted into watching esports. And outside of that, 37% are spending more money into this space, buying in-game items, spending more in video games, because we can't go out now. There's a lot of limitations that's happening with in this new world. And being virtual is something that's kind of like developing in the past year. In terms of where the money is coming from, and I think this is very important to share. From 2018, the esports industry earned $776 million. But come 2023, we're looking to have $1.6 billion in this industry, and that's outside of gaming. This is just esports. Gaming is already a multi-billion-dollar industry, but esports is going to become a $1.6 billion industry by 2023. So in terms of like where the money specifically is coming from, this is something that I want to go into. 58% are still coming from brand sponsorships, 17% from media rights. And this is something that we've seen in multiple entertainment spaces and in sports before, right? Where basketball, how it has grown to multi-billion-dollar teams. We feel like this is where esports is going. So investing in teams is like investing in the LA Lakers, or, you know, the Seattle teams of football. And this is something that's really very, very exciting, because this is a sport that's global. This is a sport that really flattens the whole world because it's in the internet. And not a lot of sports allow you to play from the Philippines and play in Korea, being in different geographies, but experiencing that, you know, like live experience that sports has. That's really powerful, and we're looking forward to seeing that future post-pandemic. So in the Philippines, just to share with you the data, out of the 4 online Filipinos, 3 out of 4 are already gamers. So, you know, this is 75% of the online demographic that a lot of people don't see and acknowledge, but this is something that's very, very exciting for us. And I'm sure in the years to come, as connectivity becomes so much available in other parts of of the Philippines, we're looking forward to esports growing as well. Outside of that, the Philippines has already produced multiple things in esports. We have produced the biggest events. On the upper left, that was an event we organized back in 2016. It was one of the top 4 events in Dota 2 in the world. We filled the arena with 18,000 people. There was $3 million in prize pool. We booked 256 hotel rooms in Sofitel. And we had the best teams in the world. And I really believe that the Philippines can be an esports hub because of the fans and the whole community that supports esports in the country. Also, we have produced globally recognized teams. The picture here is TNC, one of the most renowned teams in the world. In fact, in Dota 2, one of the most countries with the most players that were there were the Philippines. Thus, the top esports player, Abed Yusop, who started out his career as a 15 years old from Cavite, is now the Kobe Bryant of Dota 2. So, like, this is the potential of the esports athlete here in the Philippines, because there's no limitation when it comes to height or weight, So this is something that's very, very exciting as well. We have also produced world champions. Just recently, last year, the champion for Mobile Legends was Red Esports, who is from the Philippines as well. We have also conducted SEA Games. We have hosted SEA Games. The first esports event for SEA Games was in the Philippines as well. And outside of that, like we have multiple stakeholders in the space. We're winning in a lot of ways in the esports space, and that's something that's very, very exciting for the Philippines. In terms of the company, let me go into our company. Like I mentioned, I'm Trike Gutierrez. I graduated in De La Salle University, Manila, proud Lasallian. Alodia is a proud Atenean. So, like for all of the Filipinos out there who say that an Atenean and a Lasallian can't work together, we can. And, like being able to do that, I think shows how much great things we can do together if we really, really unite, right? So Brian Lim is also a co-founder. He is our managing director, also owner of Rose Pharmacy in the Visayas and Mindanao. So this whole concept came about back in 2017 because Alodia and I wanted to create a home for gamers and a home where everybody can be their authentic selves and something that they can be proud of, right? So from there, long story short, we found a seed investment in Bitcraft from LA, one of the biggest esports venture capitalists in the world. We have Atlas Asset Management from Singapore. In our pre-series A, we have Gobi Partners from China. We are also working with a local partner here. Kayak is based in Japan. And just recently, Warner Music also invested in us. So that just goes to show how much established entities are investing in this space and in us. So yeah, that's something that I just wanted to share in this talk. So Tier 1's winning formula in this ecosystem is to be able to provide the right attention to the multiple stakeholders in the space, because this is a space that really recognizes authenticity. And authenticity is very important because for the past years, not a lot of people have recognized gaming, not a lot of people have recognized gamers. So now that it's big, a lot of people really smell when people are just trying to get a part of the pie. And we're trying to welcome all of them as much as we want to welcome all of them. The community smell that, right? So for them to be able to come in easier, we provide the esports and gaming icons that will become the messengers for all of these stakeholders. Thus, your teams, your leagues, games, fans, brands, streaming platforms like Facebook Gaming, YouTube Gaming, TikTok even, we're working with all of them through the talents that we have in Tier 1 Entertainment so that they can put their message across and become, the brand ambassadors for all of these companies. So in terms of like the network effects that we've created in Tier 1, and this is something that I wanted to share as well, is that as we sign more talents and as we develop more talents, more brands are coming in. And as we infuse more capital and support the Filipino talent, it turned out that they are opening up more opportunities than we imagined. And that's something that is one of the main reasons why Tier 1 is successful. We started out supporting gamers like us, and that opened so much doors for the company. Commercial partners wise, we've worked with the likes of Pringles, Lenovo, Spotify, PlayStation, Secret Lab, Predator. All of these laptop brands and mobile brands, most of their faces are talents of tier one. And the reason why is because with 400 plus talents signed in our company, we have most of them with 5 million plus following and are really the faces of the community. So for that, we're very, very proud. We have also worked with multiple platforms. We are a very proud partner of Facebook Gaming for the past 3 years. We are also now working with TikTok, Spotify, and all of these other platforms, international platforms who have trusted Tier 1 to get the authentic talents that can stream or podcast or bring content into their streaming platforms. And where we're going, and I think this is where the potential is we are already in the Philippines, Malaysia, and Myanmar. And in phase 2, we want to go to Japan. Phase 3, we want to go into Indonesia and Vietnam. And not a lot of companies, especially front-facing companies in terms of brand, have the courage to go into Japan, a first world country. But at the same time, we believe that what we've learned for the past years and what we have as a company is something that we want to be able to bring to multiple markets, because there is so much gamers there who want the same recognition, the same support that we're providing to the talents that we have in the Philippines. And actually right now we have just signed talents from Japan, talents from different parts of Asia, and that just goes to show, you know, how much different, unique business model we have here, and the culture that we have here is different from what the other agencies and companies are offering around the world. So the goal is to be able to expand the market from 117 million in online population. We want to expand our market to 693 million. And basically, I really believe that the Philippines is capable of becoming the esports hub because Tier 1 is capable of doing it. And in terms of making sure that we grow properly, we believe that we need to live a gap in this ecosystem. We want to be the source of light when it comes to the esports, to the ecosystem, in providing the talent, providing the attention, providing the infrastructure and framework. But at the same time, we want to leave the gaps for multiple stakeholders to come in and also get a piece of the pie of what's happening here in the esports space. Also, we believe in people. We invest in people a lot, and we feel like human capital is something that's very important in this space. We've signed people from overseas. We have people we hired from different industries like call centers, like broadcasting companies. And as we grow as an industry, we believe this is very important. Lastly, education. I believe in education myself, and I think this is very important as well, because even if you get professionals from other industries, usually it takes a lot of time for them to incubate and understand the space. Thus, we want to double down on education and really educate a lot of people about what's happening in the esports and gaming space, so that they know and so that they are equipped in helping and contribute to this space as well. So, like I mentioned, we believe in education, and because of that, we are also the pioneers, together with Lyceum of the Philippines, in launching the first esports course. So BS Esports is now happening and is going to be offered in Lyceum of the Philippines this year. And, you know, come 2026, the first graduates of this course will come out and enter the workforce, and we're very, very proud of that. We have already offered internships to all of the possible graduates of this course. So looking forward to working with them in the future. Also on the front end, we've created programs for shoutcasters, for streamers, and for pro players. We hired people from the academe to make curriculums on the short term to develop talents as soon as possible and equip them with the right expertise and framework, so that they can become Tier 1 talents or blacklist international teams, which is our esports team. So that's already in place for Tier 1. We are also launching our very own PBB, or Pinoy Big Brother. This is like the America's Next Top Model, you know, like we call it the gaming house. This is going to be a 3-month reality show happening in August, which we're launching so that a lot of Filipinos will have a chance to become part of what we're doing. And in my recent post, we had 25K comments. So that just goes to show how much people are really interested to becoming the next tier one talent, right? So we're very excited for that as well. So in terms of like the esports IP, we want to be able to change the game. And actually just yesterday, right, we were crowned the Philippine champions in the MPL. So we're very, very proud of that. 780,000 people were watching that simultaneously, 1 million across multiple platforms. So that's the power of esports in the Philippines. We are the proud representatives of the Mobile Legends in the Philippines for the upcoming Asian Championship. So yeah, looking forward to that. We are also finishing up an esports facility, the first of its kind in the Philippines. We will have esports studios, esports bootcamp. It's a 1,000 square facility, multiple streaming rooms and multiple studio rooms to put a hardware in the software that we've created in Tier 1. So before I end, I just want to say this. We really went from 0 to 1 in what we're trying to do here in Tier 1. We have 100 people now who believe in our dreams, who are working for the company across Asia, in Myanmar, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Japan. And we're looking to expand more. And we're very, very excited for the future of esports in the Philippines. So yeah, hopefully if you are a CEO, if you're an investor, if you're someone from the government, like help us really provide that right infrastructure so that this industry can grow. I've seen it in call centers. I've seen it in other industries where when multiple stakeholders come together and create a good ecosystem and proper framework, the industry really flourishes. And I believe in the Filipino talent. We speak English very well. We are very well versed when it comes to multiple things. And maybe this is the next wave that we have to ride on. And we're very, very excited for what's about to come. Thank you very much for having me here. Follow me on YouTube.
Okay, right. Hey, welcome. Our next presenter is Dennis Velasco, the CEO of Prosperna, an e-commerce platform. And I know they did really good work for the real estate industry and really moving up that industry into the digital world, and now have really expanded, it seems, into a full e-commerce platform to help MSMEs, if I got that right. So please welcome Dennis Velasco, the CEO of Prosperna. Welcome, Dennis.
Hey, Richard. Great to be here. And hello, everybody, and the entire community of the Asia CEO Forum. What an awesome chance to be able to connect with other leaders here, at least online. And yeah, hopefully we'll all be able to get a chance together to share some of these ideas one day in person. All right. So in terms of e-commerce and Prosperna, what's really been interesting is how the world has really changed. And a lot of that change in human and consumer behavior has really led us to focus our mission on empowering 100,000 MSMEs in our country with e-commerce software that's made for the Philippines. Beyond all that, what I really want to do today is help share some of the biggest Philippine e-commerce trends that we're seeing, every day, around the clock. And then also, based on those e-commerce trends, we want to share some of the tips and lessons learned from helping customers and working with partners, specifically here in the Philippines. And then last but not least, I'm just going to put all this together and maybe show some examples and case studies of how some of the MSMEs out there and what they're doing in the Philippines that are using the Prosperna platform. So Philippine e-commerce trends. And Richard, I'm sure a lot of the folks watching and participating are seeing and feeling these things, but I think it's really important to put some of the measurable metrics on what's actually happening based on data here in the Philippines and in Southeast Asia. So clearly now there are measurable movements where, as you can see here, there's a huge shift to online. 30% of the people have shopped online for something that normally they would have bought offline. So really what that means is that's that first tipping point, that spear where people are saying, I would not go this other channel. I will go to this new channel of online, right? 42% then have actually shopped for groceries. And we point that out because groceries are, number one, you know, food is a very important part of the Filipino culture. And it's also got a high importance of quality and freshness. So to see something of this significant measurable change, I think is a big sign and symbol of what's happening, you know, here in our country. Now, what even makes it more interesting is the amount of new and first-time users of digital apps. So there were over 84% of people who started downloading and using more digital apps in the last 12 months. So again, these are three major things that are shifting everybody's behavior from a consumer level, from a business level, you know, from an entertainment, even from a friendship and family level, right? Now, these trends actually, believe it or not, are shifting also across different age and income segments. So this is what's really cool is it's spreading across even folks from 45 to 54 years old are trying digital apps for the first time. And that's a huge number of 78%. And of that kind of upper age of 55 and over, 35% of them have said that they want to and they plan to shop more online in the future. And then when you look at the other end of the spectrum, some of the lower income respondents that were part of this study in Southeast Asia, which included the Philippines, over 45% of them said that they also plan to shop online. So although we're probably, you know, seeing and feeling it, right, in our local communities and in our Viber groups, and we're getting pinged all the time, I'm just, you know, as a leader building a tech startup, you know, I always say the data doesn't lie. And this is what's interesting is the data around our country. So these are some, I think, really strong trends that leaders should pay attention to these days. Let's face it, Richard, if you or anybody else out there listening, if I was to give you a choice to either watch a movie on Netflix or to watch a movie on DVD, which one would you choose, right? If I was going to ask you, hey, could I take that wonderful new high-powered Samsung super mobile smart device from you and exchange it with a flip phone, would you be okay with that? Probably not. Now, I don't know if some of you guys remember even some of the traditional maps, because having moved here to the Philippines a few years ago, I would have been lost without Google Maps. And I remember years ago that some of my family and cousins said, oh, Google Maps will never work in the Philippines. But today, I don't think I could ever even find or buy or try to buy a map at a gas station. So, you know, these are just some small examples that I think when you look at the metrics and then you start to realize how all these day-to-day small behaviors add up, I think it's a wonderful, great opportunity to see our country, you know, adapt into technology, not just e-commerce, because technology has proven to bring benefits and advantages to how companies operate. So amidst all of these trends, right, that we're seeing, here's just a few simple tips that we want to emphasize to our country of Philippine MSMEs. So if you really want to see your business transform and win online, these are some things that I think, number one, we do. And we do these things day in, day out, you know, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And these are also the same things that we help our customers with in trying to guide and coach them through this, you know, digital transformation process into e-commerce. So what are they? Number one, and the good news is this should not be a surprise, but content is still king. With the amount and volume of time that we're all spending online, the only way to get your brand and get your story and get your products and services in front of customers is content. That's how the digital machine of Facebook, Google, etc., Instagram, that's how they are all fueled. So the easiest way to think about content for your company, because a lot of organizations will come to us and say they don't know what is content, or they don't know how or what to write about content. And we help them build this very simple framework. And by thinking of who is your audience and what is your audience trying to gain, right? Everybody's trying to gain something when they go online. Even if it's as simple as I'm looking for entertainment, right? Or I'm, trying to plan a small gathering on the weekend, or I'm trying to improve efficiencies on how I, run my accounting, since my accounting office is now a distributed, workforce working from home, right? So you can think about things in that way and plug in your company's products and services. You can also think about it like this. What is my audience trying to avoid? Why not publish, write, or video, content that is tying to people's emotions, right? Because as they say in life, people are trying to either gain something or avoid something. And, the online digital world is a great way, to help people avoid, for example, the pain that your product or service resolves, right? And by walking through and trying to understand what your audience is trying to gain, avoid, and solve, you can then, right, provide value, and perhaps that value connects to your product and service. So that's tip number one. Number two, I can't express this enough. It's super important that companies embrace and do the hard work. There is no shortcuts. So you've absolutely got to spend time observing, watching, knowing, and talking to your customers. As a software company, we're building dozens and dozens of new features every 2 weeks. In fact, that was a meeting I just jumped off of, right? Which is our product roadmap meeting that we have every week, so that we can help, solve, customers' problems as they are adapting and figuring out how their processes need to evolve with the technology. So even if you're not in tech, it's no different. And I'm going to share with you guys some examples of what some of our customers have done, to build their brand and reshape their business by knowing and talking to customers, which led to some success. Tip number 3. And Richard, I know that you guys not only believe this, but I know you guys practice and do this, because I think everybody is very familiar with the Asia CEO Forum. And this is no different. It's not really a secret. It's something that we all know, but it's that hard work of being consistent. So the marketing research out there shows that 41% of consumers say that being consistent is the most important thing to them. That is what helps them identify your brand. So sadly, a lot of companies out there, small, medium, and large, they have this misperception that technology alone will solve the problem. The reality is, hey, it's a formula that, just similar to a recipe, has many pieces and many parts. And so if you combine these 3 tips along with technology, you will definitely increase your chances of success in e-commerce, right? So here's a quick success story that I'd love to share. Richard, I'm not sure if you or any of the other team out there has tried Lola Nena's wonderful triple cheese donuts. Sounds pretty yummy. But Lola Nena's is a story of a home-based bakery. And here's what happened. They had a traditional store, retail store-oriented business where they had this vast menu of many different favorite Filipino, delicacies. Well, obviously, the traditional retail stores had all shut down, and therefore they had to explore what the online world was all about. Now, in that journey of exploring online via social media, they then listened intently to their customers, and that listening actually forced them to narrow down their menu to find their top sellers, because a lot of the other products weren't really suited to buy and sell online. And now today, their number one seller, they are absolutely selling thousands of simple but amazingly yummy triple cheese donuts online. And they've actually bounced back and started opening more locations instead of the ones that shut down. And those locations are now commissaries to fulfill their massive skyrocketing sales that is all online. We're happy to say that they're a customer powered by Prosperna, but this is a great success story. And if you haven't tried it, certainly suggest that you do so. So, where does Prosperna come in when it comes to helping Philippine MSMEs? So just to round things out, in case many of those in the audience isn't quite sure, how Prosperna fits into the e-commerce world, here's what we do. On this mission to empowering 100,000 MSMEs, we actually have a mobile-first, free Android e-commerce platform. So literally in minutes, any micro or home-based business can start an online store without any coding, right? So they could have this online store that's completely mobile friendly, and then they can share it across all their social media platforms from Facebook, Viber, WhatsApp, Instagram, etc. So MyChat is a great way for starting small and getting your business online. And then companies can graduate to our My Store, which is a more fully featured theme-based online store that can connect with Lazada, Shopee, etc., and so that you can improve how your brand and your customer experience works. So all of these systems are pre-integrated with payments and shipping, which makes our system the most suited system for local enterprises of any size. And of course, it's backed by great local support. And this is what we love, is to bring this Silicon Valley level quality with amazing local support specifically made for our country. So Richard, that's really it. Hopefully this was helpful in terms of the sharing of some of the e-commerce trends on what's really happening, and tying that to the what we believe are the 3 simple tips that every and any size company can do, and just rounding it off with a success story of how companies like Lola Nena's are using Prosperna and these tips to be successful online. Thanks again, Richard.
We welcome our next speaker is Roderick Danao. He is the Vice Chairman and Assurance Managing Director of PwC Philippines. And he has worked with large and complex organizations across the nations and helping them with their governance, cybersecurity, and other kinds of complex issues that are so important to any organization. So please welcome Roderick Danao of PwC. Glad to have you, Roderick.
I'm very honored to be here, Richard. Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to talk about what are we doing in this space, e-commerce. But let me first share my personal view about this wonderful thing, e-commerce. To me, e-commerce is a great equalizer. It provides everybody, it opens up opportunities for everybody, big and small, to participate meaningfully in economic building. And hence, if you ask me as a Filipino, my dream is that, the Philippines soon, not very soon, but will become a digital economy because we have many, population, still being excluded, in the economic building. I am living in Isabela actually. My families and friends are mostly in Isabela, very far north of Manila. And if you talk about e-commerce, you cannot actually feel anything about e-commerce there. They still do the same thing that they've been doing probably in the last 100 years. And, every time I go to my province, I'm asking myself, when can I see these poor farmers, generate more income, and sell their products at a higher price? And to me, the solution to that is really e-commerce. Imagine one of these days, an e-commerce platform for the agri sector, and we'll be able to address, those issues, that have been neglected for decades. The poor plight of the farmers, all across the Philippines. Now, let me go to the e-commerce side of our business. We are not an eco builder, but we provide the trust element of, the ecosystem. As we know, the most critical component of any e-commerce platform is the IT backbone and the systems and the operating software. So we at PwC, we provide sustainable solutions and services to help our clients achieve sustainable e-commerce operations. We look at the IT security, we look at the IT governance, we look at certain areas like data privacy, ensuring that these companies or even individual businesses have a sustainable operating platform. Now, what we do, and we've been helping a lot of clients in this space, is to help them transform digitally. So we keep on telling them digital transformation is no longer an option. It is a necessity. If you want to have a resilient business, if you want to thrive during this pandemic, even post-pandemic, you need to invest in technology. So we've been helping a lot of clients transform their traditional, brick and mortar or manual processes into something that we call digital, enabling them, to have a sustainable business model, enabling them to have a sustainable IT platform, and most importantly, empowering their business with good governance. I'm going to talk later about good governance. So we have been helping a number of SMEs, trying to scale up. And whenever we are being approached by a family, with good intentions and good objectives in mind to scale up and be a public company in 5 years' time, we look at two main things. How's your digital transformation? Do you have digital technology? Are you digitally capable? And number two, how's your governance story? So based on the status of these companies, we help them, achieve their goals and objectives and their family aspirations, to get there where they want to be. I want to focus on the one of the critical components of any e-commerce company, and that's the governance. If you remember last year, at the peak of the pandemic, there was this concern about the government trying to overregulate, trying to tell everybody, you're selling on the internet, register. And the usual reaction is that, why do we need to? Why do we need to? So to me, we can actually provide the solutions to that. Many people, many small businesses in the Philippines are not aware actually of remedies and tax exemptions available under the law. Many are not aware that if you have a small business and if you have a total asset of less than 3 million, go to DTI, go to LGU, and you can be tax exempt. So we've been helping, a number of small companies achieve that. We are helping right now a big logistics company solve, an issue about sustainability arising from compliance, tax compliance. So we are helping their suppliers within their ecosystem, comply with the law so that, the platform, the entire logistics platform, the entire ecosystem will be sustainable. And we've been having a lot of success in that area, helping them grow the right way with the right governance structure in mind. On top of that, we also help, of course, traditionally the big companies looking at improving their IT governance, looking at improving the IT security controls to ensure that there will be no breaches, ensuring sustainable operations as they try to scale up, as they try to bounce back from the effects of this pandemic. I would like to give a classic example of how we help, a company trying to expand. We help them digitalize the platform. We rectified some of the fundamental governance issues, including those at the board level. And after 2 months, they were able to find a suitable strategic investor, enabling them to expand even during the pandemic time in March 2020. So these are the things that we do. Now, on the sustainability side, we look at the client's compliance with laws and regulations, and it's not only applicable to small companies, but more so even for the big players. Even big companies have concerns about taxation, so we help them address those issues, providing them sustainable advice to be able to address the issues about compliance, about regulatory matters that they need to comply with, again, as they try to scale up post-pandemic. Now, many small businesses actually do not regard governance as a critical component. And I have this a friend, and his business is now gone, mainly for one reason. He was dealing with a number of suppliers that are not issuing sales invoices. And so you know exactly what that means. So when the tax authorities came, they told him that he has a very big tax problem. And so the business is closed now. This is a classic example of how we can avoid, issues and sustainability issues arising from basic compliance matters. It does pay to comply, because when you comply, you can do business with peace of mind. You can scale up, you can be successful, but at the same time, your stockholders are also successful. Everybody within the ecosystem are also successful. So that's what we do from PwC. We help clients build trust. We help them attain sustainable e-commerce operations by providing them the right governance advice, the right advice on IT security, data privacy, among other things that they need to consider as a critical component of their business operations. Thank you very much, Richard. That's all that I can share.
Okay. Thank you very much, Roderick. And yeah, keep up the great work you guys are doing. I know these tech company guys, they want to charge ahead and sell, but you got to look after these governance issues. So, Rick is a guy to speak to, not only one, but certainly a highly qualified guy. Cybersecurity, your accounting has to be done properly, legal, these sorts of things. So thank you very much, Rick, for being on the event and bringing people just to make sure that we're all going to be safe from that perspective. So thank you again.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, Richard. And again, it's my privilege and honor.
All right, our next speaker is Ruben Jayasinghe, and he is the ASEAN, or his title is ASEAN Digital Innovation Lead for Amazon Web Services. And Amazon, everybody knows, is probably the world's most successful e-commerce company. Ruben has quite a background working with, in particular, large organizations all across Asia. This is from China, India, all the way down through Japan, Australia, where he's from. So he is based in Singapore, where he's been for a number of years, running this operation. So we're really pleased to have such a high level and nice guy with us today. So please welcome Ruben Jaya Singh, the ASEAN Digital Innovation League for Amazon Web Services. Welcome, Ruben.
Thank you, Richard. So thanks, Richard, for that lovely introduction. And so I work in the digital innovation team at Amazon Web Services, as Richard mentioned. My role is really focused on supporting customers in developing new digital offerings that they can then bring to market. So today I'm delighted to be here to share with you how Amazon thinks about innovation in a changing e-commerce landscape. So as with everything in Amazon, we like to start with a little bit of data. So let me share a few data points with you as we kick off into this. So as we've seen with COVID-19, there's been a real drive and boost in e-commerce as consumers have looked to flock to online for their daily needs. In the US, we've seen this boost really starting from March 2020, contributing a 42% growth to online sales year on year compared to 2019. And we've also seen a shift to BOPUS, so buy online and pick up in store, as shoppers are looking for safer ways to engage, to go shopping, or even to stop or reduce shipping delays. Now, ultimately, that's contributed to a 67% year on year growth in that space. The real big takeaway here is that digital commerce is now more important than ever. And we need to start to cover and continue to cover web, mobile, voice commerce to keep up with consumer demands. The pandemic has really accelerated adoption and permanently changed the way people rely on e-commerce. One of the big things that we've noticed and that we've continued to notice through our entire time at Amazon is that customer needs will always continue to change. And we don't yet know what the future holds. However, the way Amazon looks at innovation in e-commerce, in fact, the way we look at innovation around customer needs in all of our business units has not changed at all. So understanding this will help you understand how we look at the future of e-commerce. So our focus is centered on our mission to be Earth's most customer-centric company. Now, the words that make up that mission are important to us, but they're also very deliberate. Now, at first glance, when you look at it, they might not seem specific to any market segment or customer group. In fact, our customers are worldwide. They include consumers, sellers, content creators, developers, enterprises, and much more. Now, while the mission is broad, it's also very specific. In fact, it's laser focused on one area. It's focused on the customer. And this helps us in making decisions, in deciding what's best for our customer, helping us prioritize the customer experience. Now, our own journey at Amazon reflects this customer centricity in the way that we've innovated on behalf of customers. As many of you know, we started in online books. We expanded to other categories, DVDs, CDs, and now we offer cloud computing with AWS, the division that I'm from. And then also hardware devices like Kindle and Echo. We're in TV with Film Production Studio, and we've got physical stores with Amazon Books, Amazon Go, and more. Now, this represents a really wide range of businesses, and you might wonder how Amazon got involved in each one of these. Well, it really starts with how we innovate around customer need and on behalf of our customers. The common thread here, though, is that all these businesses started with a customer need or pain point, and us working backwards to invent on the customer's behalf, even in areas that were outside the scope of our core business. So we take a very long-term view to growth and innovation. So it's not just thinking about what customers are wanting to do now, but what they'll continue to do into the future. And we innovate around these needs that will remain stable and durable over time. So we find growth in innovating around these durable needs by using them to sustain and to fuel sustainable self-perpetuating cycles that we call flywheels. An example of this in our Amazon business is Amazon.com, where we focus on the durable customer needs around lower prices, greater selection, and also convenience. Now, diving into this a little, if we focus on improving customer experience, it'll attract more traffic from our customers. If we drive more traffic, we'll get more sellers on our platform, which increases the selection that we can offer to customers. Now, this in turn then creates growth and scale, which allows us to reduce our cost structures, allowing us to then reduce prices. Now, these better prices with the greater selection improves the customer experience further, which drives more traffic, and the flywheel starts to spin. So when we consider what next in our business, we start with the customer, and then we work backwards from those needs. So we begin by immersing ourselves in the customer's need around who they are, what are their needs, where do they have pain or frustration in their lives. And this all comes back to data. It comes back to deeply understanding our customers, and then working backwards from those needs to invent ways to surprise and delight all of our customers. So as an example, at Amazon Web Services, around 90% of all the features that we develop come from directly hearing from our customers. It's really that other 10% that comes from being close enough to customers and understanding them deeply that we can invent on their behalf when they don't or can't articulate those needs. So looking at the needs of customers during the pandemic, we saw that many small business owners were struggling in this unprecedented situation. So to help customers connect with small local businesses, Amazon created Amazon Handmade. It's our small store for small businesses. Essentially, it's for makers selling handcrafted products. The Amazon Handmade shopping experience is curated so that customers can shop from local makers in each location. And we're seeing new makers now turning to Amazon Handmade to keep their companies running online and to reach new customers during the pandemic. We started Amazon with 3 big ideas that we've stuck with for over 20 years now. And they're the reason that we've been successful. It's put the customer first, invent, and be patient. Our approach to innovation manifests in what we call our day one culture, that there's always opportunity to do more on behalf of our customer. Now, if we operate every day as if it's our first on our mission to be Earth's most customer-centric company, we always find new ways to delight our customers with new solutions, new products and services. So what I'd like to do is to leave you with 3 personal thoughts as you think about the future of e-commerce. 1, challenge your assumptions. Today, many companies work hard to protect their legacy business, but customers continually change. And we see that all the time. And our heritage can become our baggage as trusted products, services, and capabilities lose relevance. Leaders need to reinvent their businesses, but very few have the opportunity to abandon everything and that's diminishing in value and move forward with the things that really matter. But striking a balance in this area is key. Secondly, win every micro moment. Now, this is really about trust. Today, companies optimize the parts to purchase. So when we look at the future, this is challenging this linear journey. Loyalty may not even exist in the sense that it does today, and companies need to continually adapt what they offer, when they offer it, and at what price for each consumer in each micro moment. And finally, master your ecosystem. So choose your battles. New technologies, business models are disrupting the kind of supply chains that companies have relied on for many decades. So consumers now expect a higher level of control, customization, services, and it's increasingly difficult to meet those expectations in a way that's profitable. So leaders need to anticipate these changes and work out what they should run versus outsource. So identify where you can add value the most. And what does that mean for the capabilities that you have there today in your business? So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time today, and I hope this has been a valuable insight in how we think about innovation at Amazon.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ruben. Okay. All right, our next speaker is kind of a highlight of the event, in my opinion. He is the founder and CEO of Great Deals e-commerce, and just a remarkable success. In the past 4 years, he's grown from a very small startup to now with 500 employees. He has raised, as of just a short time ago, I'm told, $30 million to continue expanding his business in Philippines. And this is, if not the first, it's certainly one of the first for Philippines that a local Filipino startup has achieved such remarkable success. So with a great story, please welcome Steve C. of Great Deals e-commerce. So glad to have you, Steve.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Hello to all the viewers right now. I'm so excited to be sharing a little bit of the e-commerce trend and the future of what in store for us here in the Philippines towards in the e-commerce space. And I would like to share to you one of, as Richard has been telling us that we were able to raise our Series B fund. One of the reasons is for us to spearhead instant commerce here in the Philippines. When we talk about instant commerce, on-demand delivery, it's about having people buy something online and delivered into their homes in just less than an hour. And that's one thing that we would like to see in key urban cities anywhere in nationwide. I'll be sharing to you a little video right now so that you could see what I'm talking about. Okay, so one of our business solution is we are able to turn your social media pages like Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, TikTok, Viber into an online shop that has your product catalog with a seamless payment option of credit card, GCash, GrabPay, and even cash on delivery. And your customer can receive their goods in less than an hour. And it's all seamless and automated already with API integration with different logistic partners. So that's what we call Suppy. So we started this one as a solution for our brands and retailers last year during the pandemic that we have seen this trend coming up. And we've launched this. We have a soft launch early February of this year. And if you're interested, you can always stop by and follow us here at Great Deals e-commerce Corp. So definitely I'm excited with this project of ours because it will help a lot of small and medium enterprise to be able to go online. And it's easy as, setting up a shop, uploading your products, and you're a go. Yeah, Richard. So those are some of the things that we've been doing. And of course, these are the things that are close to my heart because we would like to see more and more companies go digital, help them grow their e-commerce space. And if you have any other question, just ask on our Q&A and we'll be able to answer you. So God bless. Have a nice day.
Super job, Steve. And Steve, who are some of your kind of headline customers or clients that you work with?
So we work with Unilever, Nestle, L'Oreal, Abbott, Procter & Gamble, San Miguel, Century Food, NutriAsia, Fila, Samsonite. So we do have more than 400 brands that we work with. Most of them are a lot of multinational brands that we work with here in the Philippines. So we do their digital content, online shop creation, data analytics, warehousing, fulfillment, the whole end-to-end service for their e-commerce channel.
Wow. And do they give you certain products to carry or is it a vast number of products?
Yeah, so right now we have more than 60,000 products on our SKUs on our warehouses that we sell online. So we manage around more than 400 online shops across different platforms.
I see. And again, can you list the platform? I mean, the Viber, Instagram. I didn't know you could do that.
So for the Zappy one, basically we can help. You can sell your products in any of those social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Viber, TikTok, and have your own online shop inside those platforms with just a click.
I see. That's so interesting. I didn't know this was done. I didn't know it.
It's done. We've been working on it since last year, and those are the things that we've given solutions to most of the brands that we work with.
I see. Well done, Steve. Well, thank you very much again. Steve C., just a fantastic story and a heck of a nice fella too, Steve. People talk well of you. So thank you again.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Our final speaker of the day, we're so glad to have Bernadette Nacario. She is the country director of Google Philippines, certainly one of the world's premier tech companies, and she manages day-to-day operations of this organization that is involved in so much of all of our lives. Bernadette is interesting. She is a high-profile veteran of the tech industry. She had past country leadership roles with IBM, Apple, Microsoft, among others. So really have a real top-tier person in this event for Google. So please welcome Bernadette Nacario of Google Philippines. So glad to have you, Bernadette.
Good day, everyone. I hope you're all safe and well. It's our pleasure to be here at the Asia ECOMM Forum 2021. One of the many lessons that the pandemic has taught us is the value of technology. During the lockdowns, we would go online and rely on our devices to go about almost all aspects of our daily lives, from work, education, entertainment, payments, livelihood, food, to health. This has resulted in the accelerated digital adoption in the country, making our digital economy strong and resilient. According to the latest eConomy Southeast Asia report of Google, Temasek, and Bain & Company, 40 million people came online for the first time last year, bringing the total number of internet users in the region to 400 million. In the Philippines, more people went online searching for solutions to their sudden new challenges. 37% of these digital service consumers were new, slightly higher than the Southeast Asia average, with 95% of these new consumers intending to continue their behavior post-pandemic. On average, Southeast Asians spent an additional hour per day on the internet during lockdowns, while Filipinos' usage spiked to 5.2 hours at the height of quarantine, and that's actually the highest across the region. With 8 out of 10 people viewing technology as very helpful during the pandemic, it has become an indispensable part of people's daily lives. The year of 2020 is the golden year of e-commerce, as it has driven significant growth in the Philippines at 55%. This growth has largely offset declines in travel and transport. Now, looking at 2025, the overall economy will likely reach $28 billion in value, reaccelerating to roughly 30% compounded annual growth rate. The future is indeed bright. Clearly, our growing digital economy presents ripe opportunities for Filipinos. And Google is committed to supporting and enabling this growth by investing in digital skills and education, providing the tools and platforms for businesses to grow, and making the internet more helpful and accessible throughout the country. We've been equipping small businesses, they're the backbone of our economy, with the knowledge and skills to use technology effectively, such as Google My Business and the Primer app. In partnership with the DTI, our MSME Caravan digital upskilling program has now trained more than 30,000 small businesses. We've also recently announced our commitment to supporting the Asia Foundation to teach fundamental digital skills to 25,000 Filipino job seekers and MSMEs this year. We are proud of the impact we're making in the lives of small business owners. Now let me share this short, inspiring story. Regina Escolin, an entrepreneur from Quezon City, used to run a marble business. However, due to COVID-19, the demand for her products declined. Regina decided that shifting gears is the solution. So she searched for suppliers of items that are more relevant these days. She remembered that her friend from Ilocos is making Inabel face mask. So she tried it and ordered 100 pieces to start off. And guess what? It sold out in just an hour. Regina's face masks continue to thrive, and they also proudly showcase artful Filipino designs. This has caught the attention of her customers from Europe and the US. Google My Business, which can make enterprises visible on Google Search and Maps globally, made this possible. According to Regina, her business is still small, but Google My Business helped expand the reach of her store here and abroad. Having the right mindset and using simple technology have helped Regina to stay afloat. Now let's talk about startups. We believe in the important role of startups in the post-pandemic recovery. We granted $5 million to Youth Business International, or YBI, to support over 200,000 underserved businesses across the Asia Pacific and Europe. Here in the Philippines, YBI has worked with local grantee, QBO Innovation Hub, that launched a nationwide competition to help startup founders stay afloat and amplify their COVID-19 initiatives. Now, to help drive inclusive learning, Google.org has made a $250,000 grant enabling Filipino teachers to deliver distance learning in two modes, online and through the use of printed modules. This is for the benefit of students who have no access to modern devices and the internet. For public school students who can learn online, Google and DepEd deployed at least 22 million free G Suite for Education accounts, now called Google Workspace for Education. For Google, women empowerment is part of our priority. That's why when COVID-19 started to hit women's resources the hardest, we relaunched our Digiskarting Pinay program last International Women's Month. This aims to promote how women can use YouTube's content to upskill themselves and create livelihood opportunities at their own time and pace. For instance, after leaving her job as an accountant, 31-year-old Juliette Piquero stayed in Bohol to take a break but found herself staying far longer than planned due to lockdowns. And being naturally fond of cooking, she spent her spare time wanting to level up her skills and learning how to bake. After picking up recipes and tips from local YouTube channels like Madiskarteng Nanay, Chef RB Manabat, and Lutong Tinapay, she turned her hobby into a livelihood. Now she has an online cake shop called Danita's Cakes and Pastries that generates her an average income of 1,200 pesos per day. Digiskarting Pinay believes that women can learn anytime, anywhere, and have the power to improve the quality of their life and those around them. At this point, allow me to share some inspiring stories of digital transformation happening in the enterprise space. Do you know that McDonald's Philippines launched their app, site, and contactless payment even prior to COVID-19? It is a good example of digital transformation foresight and readiness, strengthening their delivery offering and innovation. Another good example is Globe Telecom. In order to adjust to the work-from-home setup, they invested in Google Cloud to make sure that their entire workforce would have tools necessary to become productive at home. In retail, a lot of businesses such as Metro Retail Stores Group and Lander Superstore are also investing more in digital to capture emerging demands. At Google, we are helping companies understand behavior, recognize patterns, and leverage tools and technology to achieve more for the future. With tools like Google Trends, Think with Google, the Mobility Reports, Analytics 360, and Google BigQuery, we enable companies to make sense of data and act on them to translate their vision to life. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to big digital shifts across the region, especially here in the Philippines. These consumer and ecosystem shifts continue to advance the internet sector in compelling ways. However, many barriers still exist, such as challenges around talent, which remains a key blocker that all sectors need to keep working on. Economic recovery is a critical moment for the Philippines, and Google is committed to supporting the country and several communities through the best of our technology and programs. We will continue to empower Filipinos and our partners with the right digital knowledge and tools so the benefits of the growing digital economy can be harnessed and felt by more people. Together with our partners from the public and private sectors, we will continue closing the gap in digital opportunity, and that is to shape an internet economy that can help power the Philippines' recovery from COVID-19 and improve the lives of Filipinos. Once again, it is our pleasure to be part of this important event. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe and well, and enjoy the rest of the day.
All right. Thank you very much, Bernadette. That is such interesting information. So thank you for updating all of us on all of what you are doing at Google. So thank you. All right. So welcome everyone to the Q&A session. And I've heard a lot of presentations and stories, really inspiring and really exciting. So maybe first I could just go around with a quick question for you, for each one, just a short answer of maybe even just a few words. But, we've all heard about so many people going online for the first time, especially older people, buying things online, downloading apps for the first time. What percentage of these new online buyers will shift back once everyone gets vaccinated in another 6 months or a year or so? What does everybody think? Have we passed the tipping point, or are these people my age, or are they gonna go back to the old way? Maybe who's gonna go first? Okay, John, you're smiling on that one. What do you think?
I think there's no going back. I think people has started to have that habit to actually start shopping online, and source for goods online, and it's going to be difficult to transition back. Even if the stores starts opening, a lot of these companies would have already started migrating also to digital platforms. So majority of their engagement would be through digital engagement rather than brick and mortar engagement. So there probably would be some, but I think majority, there's no looking back.
Okay, Ruben, am I preaching to the choir here? What do you think? Oh, you're on mute, Ruben.
Apologies. There we go. So I tend to agree with John as well. There's, we've seen a significant shift, and some of the percentages we've seen, in terms of people moving to online shopping, 42% increase in online sales in the US, over that pandemic period, year on year from 2019, 2020. But also shift to, people trying new things, buying online and then picking up in store, those sorts of metrics that we're seeing. So there's new behaviors that are now setting into place. And I think as those set into place, people are trying new things and they'll find what works for them, especially with the new concerns around, I think even with the pandemic, as things become under control, the convenience of being able to do the online, be able to pick up and still have the confidence of the timing to get what you want. So those things might sort of set into place. So I think we'll continue to see change, and I'm not really sure what those next changes will be. And we just need to watch and see what consumers want. And I think the important thing for enterprises and businesses today is to keep a watch on what consumers want, and that comes back down to data, understanding your customer, continually watching what those patterns might be as we move into the future.
Sure. Steve Sy, I know you put your hand up there and you got all excited, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you're saying. You're great success.
There was a Bain report that 90% of the Filipino market, Filipino consumers, 90% will retain using digital services. And definitely we have seen the numbers that it's keep on growing. Our base have grown in terms of online purchases, especially in the e-commerce space. So there's a truly shift in the new normal in terms of purchasing and shopping online.
Yeah, it seems like it. Okay, great. Rick, is that a similar thing you see and think about?
Totally in agreement with them. There's no coming back. Maybe to a certain extent, but to a large extent, this is the new normal. And if I may just cite the survey by Statistica in November 2000, the volume of e-commerce in the Philippines is expected to quadruple in 5 years' time.
Okay. And Dennis, you're going to say the same thing? Or you have anything? What do you think?
Well, I would just like to add that, it's the consumer's point of view that I think is most important. And there's no doubt that consumers look for two things, and that's convenience and choice. And the internet and digital and e-commerce absolutely powers and fuels that even stronger. The only other thing I would say is we're hearing every day from the voice of small to medium enterprises. We're hearing them say, I am not going to go back to the mall. I do not want to pay expensive escalating rent for potentially no traffic. I love the online world. And that's what is, resonating with us.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, now all of you are international people who have international knowledge. Ruben, Steve, with all your connections, Dennis, of course, who did a lot of work in the Silicon Valley, Rick, John. How does Philippines compare to other markets? Now we hear about the US and China where everybody is buying online or paying digitally. How does Philippines compare in all of these things? Or who'd like to just give some, maybe Ruben, could you start off? Because Ruben does a lot of work throughout the region. How are we doing? Let's be honest here.
I'm not sure I can get into detail around how the Philippines specifically. I think I'm sort of really starting to understand the market a bit more. But I think in general, what I am seeing a big shift in across a lot of the markets in ASEAN as a whole is more companies starting to think about platform models. So how do they connect not only their consumers buying from them, but also with other suppliers? How do they start to create more value and sell more through their business than they would have by just creating and selling their own products? So those platform models are starting to really take off. And I think being online and the technology that's available now to be able to connect businesses, B2B and then B2C, all of those things provide a platform to be able to accelerate those types of models and to try those things out cheaply. So that's one of the patterns I'm starting to see at the moment. But we're seeing that sort of growth across all the different countries of companies wanting to try that.
Okay, good. We've got a couple of guys with very successful platforms here. Steve, what do you see? I mean, you compare yourself across the region?
So basically, Philippines is still I would say e-commerce is still in the sunrise industry here in the Philippines. So it's going to go up. Definitely, even though we're lagging behind in some of our ASEAN counterparts, the beauty of the Philippine market is we're a very consumer-driven market. Yes. So if you have the right product mix, you'll be able to grow exponentially with our highly consumer-driven population here in the Philippines. So definitely, as our internet infrastructures develops and becomes faster, there's more and more people that will be able to buy online.
Sure. Okay. Who's Dennis? What do you think?
Yeah, having been around in different regions and observing how e-commerce has evolved, I'd say yes, the Philippines is absolutely in that super infancy stage. And yeah, probably Steve and Ruben and Rick would say that, there's, a few big brands that are really making their moves. But I think what is going to be really cool and inspiring is I think this is a huge blue ocean for many new brands to surface, right? Because it's even the playing field for everybody. Everybody had to start at the same baseline. So now it's about speed and acceleration to get either your existing brand or your new brand out there. And in many ways, an easy way to win is to be first.
Sure. Okay, yeah. So it's a blue ocean opportunity. Rick, what do you see with your other offices?
I agree with them, all of them. We just actually barely started. And if I may just cite here a survey in November 2000, compared to Vietnam, actually, we are about 40% behind in terms of e-commerce value. And, look at that. I'm comparing it against Vietnam because easily, we are a 400 billion economy. They are a 350 billion economy. So we are substantially comparable, but we are lagging behind. And I totally agree with them. But the good thing is that some companies now in the Philippines are in the process of building mega data centers, in Manila, in the Philippines, anticipating the surge in demand for data driven by increased e-commerce activities as we go along.
Okay, and so Dennis came up with a good thing that the glass is half full and there's a big opportunity. John, what do you see across the region?
Yeah, so I think there's a huge potential really for us to grow, especially as Steve mentioned, we're a very consumer-centric organization. But I think the good thing about where technology is today is that it's actually easy to access now, primarily because we do have a lot more options, as Ruben mentioned. It's becoming more of a platform play. And there's actually a lot of platforms already that are available that will provide you that kind of digital service that a lot of this business requires. And in fact, as I shared in my presentation, we've been building data centers. And as Rick said, we're building mega data centers, primarily because a lot of these international platform providers are actually coming into the Philippines, providing e-commerce solutions and other digital related solutions. It's really more of getting our consumers or entrepreneurs more aware that it is, again, easy to access technology right now, and there's a lot of options that they can look at.
Okay, that's exciting. Wow. Okay, and well, maybe if I could ask you guys, you all have a lot of, interesting things to share. I wish we had a lot longer to say, but the biggest trends you see for large and or small companies, what would that be? I don't know, to say one of the biggest or two. Maybe we shouldn't say three or four because it'll take too long, but who'd like to go first? Steve, you're smiling and you have lots to smile about with your success. What do you see as the biggest trends you see in your business?
So two major trends definitely will be coming in. Number one is live streaming. People will be shopping, through live stream. I think that's one's going to be a very major trend. There will be a lot of influencers doing live stream, selling stuff online for the e-commerce space. And as we continue to evolve and grow, that would be a major part of, there's what we call offline promodizers. Yep. There will be now online promodizers promoting items daily, using live stream, using Facebook, TikTok, Kumu, all of this, Lazada, Shopee's live streaming. They'll be selling, and there's a lot more people that will truly connect because it's live. People can comment and talk to the actual promodizers, to the actual, what we call influence sales people, the host, the shopper host. For that. The number two, I think the next trend would be instant commerce. Delivery in less than an hour, anywhere in hours. That would be a major trend that is going to come up. And both of those two things, Great Deals has been at the forefront, spearheading a lot of projects and activities for those two major trends that we are seeing right now.
Wow, that is remarkable. Okay, who'd like to go next? Who's got Ruben? What do you see?
I think, I mean, for us, if we look at the last sort of 30 years, we've seen, back in the 90s through the infancy, businesses really trying to understand what consumers wanted and doing the basics around that. Then as it matured, starting to look at using cloud, using technology to be able to understand customers more, then optimizing through the 2010s. And now in 2020, what we're seeing and moving forward is more around understanding and getting into the data around our customers. So we're seeing businesses wanting to use AI ML to really understand behaviors of customers and start to personalize engagements. So, when we talk about personalization, what we're thinking is around how do we personalize even beyond the standard personalization. So when we offer a product or service, how does that product or service, not just the product itself, but the services around it, get personalized per customer? We look at every interaction and we start to personalize those, and how do those be customized so we bring more customer delight? So that's one of the trends that potentially could emerge, depending on how the consumers are really wanting to move forward. But there's more demand around personalization, more information, and we see more demand from our consumers around wanting to have more control of their own journey. So that's part of what we're seeing.
Okay. John, what do you see? I mean, the infrastructure side, what are the biggest trends? Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things that we can talk about, but in general, we see basically a lot of customers moving to more OPEX-based models rather than CAPEX-based builds, primarily because a lot of customers today, organizations today, are actually trying to preserve cash, and they'd rather work with platform providers that are subscription-based. And we see now a lot of customers actually moving to the cloud. They're migrating from on-premise applications to cloud, and are also now starting to outsource business processes, like IT operations, systems management, customer help desk. We see a lot of those transition to more managed services. And lastly, we now also see a lot of customers trying to rehash their ERP, primarily because a lot of companies today are pushing for front-end e-commerce platforms, right? But it's really more of the front end. They are now, trying to define what the back end should look like, how my inventory, how my financials, how my HR systems would look like, having front end systems like an e-commerce platform.
Okay. And Rick Danao of PLDT, what do you think?
Yeah, John actually articulated it very well. Companies are now embracing technology as an enabler. It's no longer an option. It is a must. You want to have a resilient business, you need to invest in technology. And as John mentioned, you don't need to invest CapEx by yourself. You can just find, a cloud computing company. Some of them are here, and that's the solution. It's easier, no CapEx required, and you'll have an instant online presence. The other thing that resonates probably to most of us is the issue about sustainability. So as we try to build, scale up, there's always this question about, is your business sustainable? Is it compliant with the law? Are you complying, with the requirements of the tax code? Those kind of things. So, these are very critical components for any, e-commerce companies trying to scale up. That's sustainability component, because that will make the company resilient and stronger, in the future.
That's a good point, Rick. You see a lot of tech guys charging ahead and doing fantastic work, but sometimes they need to do a bit more cleanup or sustainability work, I guess you call it, to protect themselves. Dennis, what do you think?
Yeah, we look at things from a little bit different perspective. If you think about, the data shows that the Philippines is 99% comprised of small to medium enterprises, right? And what we're going to see, I think, is an absolute rise in power of the small to medium enterprises, right? Just look at what the DTI had stated. Prior to COVID, an average of about 1,500 online businesses were registered, right? And during the COVID, there were 80,000 new small business digital companies that were registered. And now with technology, with the thought leaders bringing in the new ideas, with the embracing of technology, with all of it being a lot more accessible to the SMBs, I think the most exciting thing about our country is the economic impact of the 99% of the companies that make up our economy. When we empower them with technology, it's going to be a huge game changer.
Okay, that's inspiring. Well, one more question, guys. I'll ask, there's a lot of companies, we mentioned, Rick said that we're Philippines, it's a blue ocean opportunity. We talked about it as, which is putting it in a nice way. So there's a lot of companies that have to get started on this, or maybe they have, but what would be the first step? What should they do to really get started? I mean, Ruben offers, Amazon Web Services does consulting work to help companies. What should be their start? I know Steve and Dennis, they've got a more interesting track too, but maybe Ruben, what would you say to a company that you work with who wants to get started on this? What's the first step?
Well, for us, what's really worked, and this is not just now, but over a very long period of time at Amazon, we start with the customer. It's really diving deep and looking at the next step. Where are they going? What are their current needs? And we try to leave aside what our business is doing, what our business needs, and what our direction is. And we look purely at what the customer need is, what the pain points, and we get into a lot of detail. And we talk about models like design thinking and so on to start to really understand the voice of the customer. We apply a lot of that from our business. We start there, we work backwards from there to try and understand what we need to do next. And I think that's really the core of it for me and at Amazon, the way we look at it.
Okay. And now, Steve, you've got a real platform already in place. Is it as easy as it seems to be to really go online and start selling? How do you tell people to make them feel safe and, that they're not going to look foolish by getting onto your platform? How do you do that?
So I think there's a lot of education being done, especially on the C-levels, on how e-commerce work and how we can speak their language in terms of for them to change their mindset. But basically, because of the pandemic, it's not just about adaptability; it's about survivability. That companies needs to survive. That's why right now they're shifting to digital already, not because they want to, but because they need to. So there's a major shift. So it's more right now for us building capability, so that we'll be able to handle the major shift in the digital economy. So I think education-wise, we've been sharing to them that e-commerce work differently from an offline retail store or offline setup. So there's need to have a major mind shift or mindset shift for them to be able to grow in the e-commerce space.
And so how do you provide this education, Steve? Did you have YouTube videos on, or what? How do you do it?
Well, most of the brands, they just partner with us and will take care of them as we continue to grow. Just like as Ruben has says, that we need to know where they're at, what phase of the company is at, so that we'll be able to suggest the right building blocks for them to grow in their e-commerce journey. So it's quite different for a lot of, it's not a one size fits all. It needs to be customized for them to be able to, grow and know where they are.
Okay, fantastic. Maybe Rick Danao, what do you think would be the first step?
Well, everything has been said already, but may I just add one thing, very important: governance. How do you select your suppliers? How do you ensure that your IT platform is robust? How do you address issues like cybersecurity, IT security, data privacy? those kind of things. You know, one of the big online company had to stop operations, I think 2 years ago because of data breach. So these are the things that you can actually avoid by having the right good governance in place. And most importantly, I would like to advise, aspiring, e-commerce entrepreneurs, and begin with the end in mind that your business will comply, with the basic requirements of the Philippine laws, like, paying your employees right, complying with the taxes. What's funny here is that many companies here, the small ones, have a negative perception about tax. They do not know that there are many remedies under the law, legal remedies that can actually exempt them from taxation, if they know those legal remedies, how to do it, like the BMBE, the Barangay Micro Business Act. It actually provides tax exemptions for companies with less than 3 million of assets. Imagine the power of that. If these small companies, avail of that, they don't need to worry about tax anymore. They can focus on the business, serve the customers well, pay the suppliers, pay the employees, and they will sleep well at night.
Okay, Rick, and I'm glad Rick is here because, business people, sometimes we don't like talking about taxes and compliance, but it is so important. And so we need to be reminded of that. So thanks very much, Rick. How about you, Dennis? What do you think?
Yeah, I still think the Philippines landscape of business leaders I still think there's a level of fear and uncertainty. And so I would even take it a step farther and say, work on putting that entrepreneurial mindset back on, right? Because I'm sure whether you're PwC, Great Deals, AWS, or EPLDT, somehow it just started with the right mindset and taking action. I mean, mistakes will happen and you will figure out your journey. But without the right mindset, you'll never take that first step. And look, we've got a great panel of many companies here to support the country through that change. And especially with the CEO Forum and what you guys are doing to bring the community together, I think it all comes back to that mindset. And that's where I would start.
Okay, that's a good one, Dennis. Yeah, it is. We've got a good group here of guys. So really there is a lot of input and very diverse background. So John, how about you? What can you tell us?
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of consulting work for PLDT and a lot for our customers. And the question that normally is asked is, how do I start, right? Especially for a lot of our SMEs. The challenge also is that we do have a lot of players in the industry, lots of technology, and that also creates, I guess, not only just confusion, but where do I exactly start? So that's the reason why we built a business consulting practice. And as Ruben mentioned, and like what PW is today, which is also a consulting company, we'd like to build a practice of trust, right? And be able to help customers actually assess where they are today, create recommendations of what they can be or what innovations can be explored, help them in the transformation process through training, through adoption, and be able to manage, sustain, and eventually also iterate as the business grows. And a lot of those really is done through consulting effort. It's not primarily just technology. It's an understanding of how technology can bring you from where you are today and where do you want to go after.
Okay, very good. Yes, and actually, so Dennis made a good point. If there is, not here to sell your services, but we do have people who could really help you. Ruben, John, and Rick, this is part of their business. Steve and Dennis, they're more in the platform provider business. So they've really, have done fantastic work and will continue to do so. So yeah, again, so thank you very much, everyone. Really, really good. This was just such a fantastic session. Dennis, Steve, Ruben, John, and Rick. So quite a group. And thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. What an event. So really a lot of exciting things going on and lots of things for all of us to do to close the event, we're so pleased to have Richard Strollo, Vice President Supply Chain for LBC Express, the country's largest logistics organization. This is someone that everybody needs to use if you are going to do e-commerce and have your product delivered. He's worked in country head roles across Asia and Taiwan, Korea, Malaysia, other places. Please welcome Richard Strollo of LBC. Glad to have you, Richard.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Richard, for that wonderful introduction there. And also to our speakers who've shared their expertise and learnings with us today. As Richard mentioned, my name is Richard Strollo. I'm the Vice President for Supply Chain Management at LBC Solutions based here in Manila. And we do hope that you're able to learn something from today's program as we really collectively want to find a way to push you forward during these challenging times. LBC has always been a strong believer in the entrepreneurial mindset, and designing the right moves for your business is what we all want to do. You yourselves can make a difference in our economy as you grow your business and expand first nationwide, and then as we all look out globally as well. LBC's tagline, as you know, is "We like to move it," and now much more than ever, together with our distinguished speakers from other industries, we will do that. As the world recovers, let's hope we do the right moves. Thank you for all coming out today. I hope it was as interesting and learning for you guys. It was as exciting for us as it was for you. Your passions and your dreams are in good hands with us and Asia ECOMM. To end this, I want to share the current battle cry of our team. Let's move it.
So that was Asia ECOMM Forum 2021, and we're so pleased to have you with us. What a bunch of interesting stories and opportunities we now have for all of ourselves. So we want to see you really make e-commerce a key part of your business from this point forward. So this is really, let's mark this as the future. So yeah, so pleased to have you for Asia E-commerce Forum 2021, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
CEO, get ready with the show. First word is a go. Asia CEO, Asia CEO, get ready with the show. First word is a go. Asia CEO.